Actually, I was thinking about how to introduce the podcast, and I thought, like, let's piss off the Slims and
Yeah,
say it's
yeah.
a Jewish George Soros backed NED program in partnership with the Singh Corporation, and we receive 100,000 baht per episode. But then I thought I'd much rather piss off the Thai Inquirer shitlib crowd.
I think so. I
So,
think so. I think so.
so, so without further ado, welcome to the Analyze Sand podcast, English version, sponsored by the Chinese Communist Party. All glory to Xi Jinping and the People's Republic of China. Join us as we subvert the Thai democracy movement from the inside out. Welcome.
วัฒนธรรมยังโจโกมันสิแห่งได้จังใด
So what we're going to try and do with the English version of the podcast is make it a bit more foreigner, Farang friendly. We're not going to have like theory discussions or any kind of that nerd shit. We're going to try and focus on like history, current events, and goings on around the region. So today we're talking about 112, 112. I'm joined by Samaideng, and I'm Gabriel. And we're talking about the law Les Majeste, which forbids any insulting of the monarchy in Thailand under punishment of imprisonment. So, Samai, 112,
Yeah.
good or bad?
To figure that out, let's have a quick look at an overview of its history. So,
Okay.
thinking back to pre-modern Thailand, if you want to call it such and such, it was very very common to accept that it was illegal or it was unjust or wrong to touch a monarch or a member of the royal family. So from that,
Physically touch them.
physically touch. From that and the sort of the general reverence that was commonplace in Thai feudal society, basically that leads into any form of insult, any way in which you're trying to harm or threaten a member of the royal family. That just becomes wrong, and you become arrested or deaded. However, with the implementation,
Deaded.
deaded. That's the scientific term. However, with the implementation of proper judicial codes, which comes with the centralization of the Siamese nation state, you get these laws. And one law, which was written into the constitution, which is still part of the current constitution, which we still have, and it will likely still be part of the constitution that we will get after whatever happens, because more likely than not, the people who are in charge, and that's conjecture for another day. Anyway, the point is that 112 or 112 says that it is illegal to defame, insult, or threaten the king, queen, heir apparent, heir presumptive, or regent. This also includes dead monarchs. This was a law that was this was an addition that was recently brought in the last decade, because why not? I recall one time someone said something about the late Raman IX, saying that he was the best king Thailand ever had, which basically goes on to insult the rest of the other kings Thailand's ever had.
Aha.
So I don't know if there's a bit of
Well,
a
I got a good one
double
for you.
standard. Yeah, go on.
So there was Ajahn Sulak, very famous
Yeah, yeah.
dude. He was charged for suggesting there's like a famous battle between Ayutthaya king and Burmese prince where they supposedly fought each other on elephant back. And Sulak was foolish enough to suggest that such a story didn't literally happen. And he got charged with Les Majeste with 112 for that.
Absolutely
So.
amazing. Absolutely
And so
amazing.
that's not even the Chakri, the current dynasty's
Yeah,
line.
yeah,
That's although they do claim Ayutthaya as being their forebearers, but
yeah.
it's not even. Yeah,
I mean, there was that story of like even though this isn't defamation, but it's the just the complete the power index between like the common Thai folk and like the royal family is just it's so stupid to the point where there is this folk tale or this story where it's like this princess of Bach. She was drowning and no one could go save her because they dare not touch a princess. So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, if it's true, that's that's probably a bad thing. But if it's not true, it's still representative of the power index. But yeah, so
Well, the same with Ananda, Bumipon's
yeah.
Ramanine's brother. They couldn't do a proper what's it called after someone dies? Mortish or autopsy or something.
Autopsy, isn't it?
Yeah, like they had troubles with the autopsy because or checking the crime scene and stuff like that after he was
That would have
shot in
revealed the
head.
truth, my guy. That would have revealed the truth.
Okay, now we're getting into the
Conspiracy
to the
territory.
112 territory here, which we have to steer clear
Oh yeah,
of.
sorry. Let's go back. I got a couple more points. So
Go for it.
In 1957, they added the term insult. So before it didn't actually have the word insult, and so with the word insult, there's a lot more room for interpretation.
It's very open-ended.
Yeah, exactly. And so that means towards the end of the People and Sokram era and going into the time of the three dictators, basically there's just a greater centralization of power in the state, and thanks to this law, there is also an increased way of checking on people, making sure that they are indeed complying with the royalist doctrine.
I'd also like to point out that it was around that time, 57. That was just before Sarit, right, came to power, and the palace was really asserting itself at that point, having been pushed to the side a lot in the People era.
Yeah.
So we can see these Les Majeste charges become more bold as the palace gains more power, basically.
And then with the Sarit times, it was used to repress like people who were slightly seen to be left-leaning or communistic in any way, shape, or form.
Or like trade unionists. This was like early Cold War Thailand.
Yeah, and it definitely cements Thailand as an ally to the United States and to the NATO Western Bloc. And then later on, you start seeing that instead of going through legal frameworks, even the government started trying to sort of outsource their repression to sort of mercenaries, paramilitary groups, sort of hide guns instead of actual court proceedings, and obviously this wasn't told to the public, but if it was revealed to the public, they could easily wave it away with saying that they were violating 112 or something like that.
You're talking about, this is the 70s era. Referring to. Yeah, I mean, this was, I think I wrote in the doc, like they preferred the touch of hired goons to the messy business of court proceedings.
Like legal
it was easier just to get easier just to get a guy beaten up or murdered.
I mean, at the end of the day, a kangaroo court versus being mugged by state hired goons, that sort of one takes a bit more time. However, both will end up ruining someone's life in some way.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just easier to take care of people that way.
Yeah.
Go on.
And then essentially start after the 70s, moving towards the 80s. Then you start using against proper politicians.
Sorry. I'm really sorry. Just to interrupt you a quick sec. I do have one case listed here in 76 of a guy who was arrested for Les Majeste for using the village scout scarves, yellow scarves.
Yeah.
He used one to wipe a table clean.
And of course, because the village scouts were created on behest and were definitely underneath the sort of the direction of the king at the time.
These are the hired goons.
Yeah, these were said hired goons, even though they were sort of considered. Oh no, they're like the Boy Scouts, but just really into king and country,
and very very rapey as well.
And they're okay with kicking students to death. And
they did a lot more than kicking, but
I know.
That's another episode.
We talk about the but yeah. So I'm gonna start using against politicians, and then later on, getting towards a long stretch of time between 1990 and 2005, there was about 5 new cases a year, which doesn't seem that much. However, the one question you should ask yourself is, what level of insult or defamation or severity is the threshold that matters. Because like
Well, yeah, go on.
one person could say something which was not so bad, and another person could say something that was really bad. However, there's a lack of consistency in terms of which of these comments is going to be taken more seriously by the state. Um, and
I think also something worth noting there is that period you mentioned in the 90s to 2005, which was other than after the financial crash anyway, it was the Taksin era, and that was kind of the milk and honey era a little bit. It was a bit of a democratic flourishing era. So maybe people were a bit more content with Taksin in power, and they didn't feel the need to challenge the monarchy so much at that point.
yeah, I can see what you're saying.
Just a thought.
No, I can see what you're saying. Definitely if people are okay with things, then they're not going to sort of be consistently trying to pick at the structure that's helping them out. If
Well, I mean, also we have to remember that this is also after Black May, and the king gained a lot of goodwill after that, after he sat the two sides down after the massacre and told them both to go home. So I think that's like the height of his popularity, really.
Say what you want.
9, that is.
Say what you want about the Communist Party of China, but the better propaganda machine is definitely the people that write whatever narratives for the Thai royal family. Like
oh, no doubt.
and just to be clear, that is a criticism of the people working for the family as opposed to the family itself.
That's a criticism of the Communist Party China.
Oh, that's also
true.
Redacting. That's also true. No, we're gonna. I'm sorry, Chairman. No.
So I also had another example from the late 80s, which was a politician who served 4 years imprisonment for suggesting that his life would be easier had he been born in the palace. That was in 88.
How dare he?
Very dare he.
How dare he?
So where do you want to go next with this?
Okay, so let's move closer to us in time. So
era.
after the coup of 2006, obviously people started getting caught out on this a lot more, which you can either take as the government was being more vigilant, or more people were critical of the royal family.
Well, I think also going back to Taksin, a lot of people were critical. They thought that Rama 9 was responsible for Taksin getting booted out of the country. So,
say what you will, that surely the person who was the head of state has some influence in internal
I would
affairs.
never suggest such a thing personally. I want to make that clear.
No, I'm just saying it's a possibility. I'm not saying anything about what I believe.
See, these are the kind of conversations you have to have in Thailand.
So after that, obviously then in 2014, with the most recent coup, it became punishable in military courts and also the civilian courts that were set up. However, obviously the military, who were linked a bit closer, they gave harsher sentences and harsher punishments than civilian courts, which may or may not have shared similar sentiments to the people who they were trying. And then a quote from 2016, the Justice Minister said that foreign countries would not understand why Thailand needs the Les Majeste or the Les Majeste law because they are not civilized nations with cultural refinement like ours. I mean,
agreed.
It's an interesting statement to make because I don't know. I've always seen the term civilized been used by like imperial powers trying to justify their expansion into other countries.
Well, that could be a fun little plug for the article we covered about Thai auto-imperialism, which you can find on dindang.com.
That's right, dindang.com for all your radical Thai needs. It's an interesting statement, definitely. But that kind of national chauvinism is sort of ingrained in a lot of the leadership obviously, and
Yeah, I mean,
yep.
I've been reading about a lot about how the monarchy kind of justifies itself to itself and to Salim people, so towards its base, and they really do truly believe in Thai exceptionalism, having not been colonized by a foreign power, supposedly. There is something special about Thailand, and that's like a sentiment which like a lot of Thai people have. That it is, for whatever reason, this special and unique country. Usually people tie it to religious beliefs as well, that they just have so much born, so much merit that it's a special country.
Yeah, the
Unlike
national
any
merit,
other in the world.
the national merit,
Yeah.
like the
People
country,
really believe it.
the country retains a level of national merit that other countries do not have. It's
Exactly,
it's
yeah.
like in Total War where there's prestige. It really is.
They got rid of that in the later Total Wars, which was a shame. They got rid of
haven't
it in
got around to
Empire Total War.
No,
but
Empire.
in,
No, it's still an Empire. It's still an Empire. Trust
is
me.
it?
I play that thing all the
Are
time.
you sure?
I play that
I
thing all the
did.
time.
I went through a few phases, but it's such a shame how Asia's not in it, though.
It's true.
Yeah. Well, it's India, but
Well,
yeah,
there's
not
India, and that's
Southeast
about
Asia.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, no.
You gotta play
It's
Europa
weird that
Universalis.
it's weird like people in charge of a country believe in such sort of abstract concepts that would be found in video games.
Yeah. Well, there's like this kind of quantifiable levels to the merit as well,
I
which is really
guess.
strange.
I
Like,
guess.
I was reading about when Ramen 9 in the early days, I think it was in the early 50s, he basically, when Pibun was still in charge, and he snubbed an invitation from Pibun to go and Tambun make merit at some Wat. And it was cloudy that day, and there were storms, and that like really spooked people out. Like they were like, "Oh, this shows, this Pibun's in for some shit right here. He fucked up," because it was obviously a bad omen. Yeah. So back to 112.
Yeah.
So there's a few interesting side points I want to touch on. Like there's been quite a few cases where people have kind of snitched on family members. So if you've got a problem, or neighbors or something like that. So in 2013, somebody filed a Les Majeste charge against his own brother. People, I've heard, I couldn't find an article about it, but I've heard that people have, like, for example, like if you have a cheating boyfriend or something like that, like you make a fake Facebook account and post some insulting stuff towards the monarchy, and then you can report him, and it will. So that's a fun little game.
It's funny because people are talking about like, all the little red guards, they'd report on their parents for not being revolutionary enough, and then they go out and do this shit.
Well, this is like Khmer Rouge shit.
Yeah. I mean, which we can talk about at another stage, which is definitely an interesting topic.
So another interesting case was in 2014. There was a nurse in Konken who her name was Ari, and she posted a picture of herself wearing black on Bumipon Rama 9's birthday, and she got charged and sent to attitude adjustment. And there's another great one here. So there was a singer, I can't remember what she did. Hold on, I've got the article here. There was a singer, a Morlam singer, for defaming the monarchy. So this singer, I can't work out exactly what she did. It just says in the article defaming the monarchy, and she was He. And okay, you've got it. Yeah, and he was.
Is it the Vagina?
Do you have
song?
what he did?
I mean, all I've got in front of me is the Vagina song.
Oh, I'm looking at Cal Sod. I can't see what he did.
That's where I am.
Oh, really?
There should be a video.
No, I don't have a video. We've got different articles. Anyway, he had to write. He was a red shirt guy, I think, and he had to write a reconciliation song. The court told him. So they get creative with it.
Interesting. What was this guy's name? Because I want to make sure if it's not the same guy.
Okay, it is Tanat,
I got a different guy.
Tanawacha. Okay, go on. You
I
do
got.
yours.
It looks like his name is Patiwat, which just makes it all the sweeter. Because obviously that means revolution.
Mm.
But okay, so apparently he was jailed for 2 years for performing a play that satirized the monarchy. He wrote like 100 Molam songs. Uh, some are about his time in prison, some are about him. But yeah, he was basically arrested because they thought that the play was satirizing and then therefore insulting the monarchy. Similar, interestingly enough, remember what the precedent or like the reason for sort of the crackdown that led to the Thammasat massacre was?
Yeah, it was the play,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Where
The
they
play that had nothing to
yeah
do with the royal family whatsoever.
no
But they just said, "Oh
yeah.
yeah, that's definitely like a depiction of the prince or
So
something." Yeah.
So just to explain a little bit, there was a protest going on at Thammasat University, and so there was some students took part in a play. Somebody took a photo of the play, and in the photo there is it's somebody's hanging, or it's not. It's like a scarecrow. It's not a real person. A dummy is hanging, and somebody's hitting it with a chair. And it was reported in the press. I think it was reported in the press that was supposed to be a prince, not the king
Yeah.
himself.
As far no, I think I said prince. I think it was
Yeah.
in the Bangkok Post.
Uh-huh.
I
And
think.
anyway, that's what they used to
I think.
justify
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
the massacre that happened
That was when the
later on.
Bangkok Post was a lot more mask off about their the leanings. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
um, I don't know
So
if I
I've
have
got a
anything else.
couple more interesting ones. So the youngest person ever to be charged was a 14-year-old
Oh wow.
who burnt down just doing some 14-year-old arson, and they ended up burning down a royal shrine. So they got for that. Oh yeah. Oh, this is a good one. So the parents of Srirasmi, who was Rama X's former wife, so she was a princess at the time, and they divorced, and her parents were charged for insulting the royal family. So if you talk shit about your daughter's ex-husband,
Right.
if he happens to be the heir apparent,
Right.
you're going to jail, I'm afraid.
Oh damn. So you're telling me there's no mother-in-law moments where she basically just hates on her son-in-law for such and such. Oh. I got a few more. I got a few more history points, or
Oh yeah, go for it.
that I just seen them listed out here, so I should probably list them off. So since about 2018, they've started again directing more power towards the state, which means that no longer can you sort of really make a claim on anyone. The claim has to go through the attorney general. So all claims are filtered through the state, which means that all claims are no longer beholden. Claims are no longer sort of controlled by the people. They are now controlled by the attorney general.
Yeah.
Arguably that's not
But the
necessarily.
people can still tip off the
Yeah,
attorney
they can
general.
still tip off the attorney general, but they make the final decision.
And what's the there's a Salim yellow shirt group that explicitly in their mission for a point of purpose that they try and do this. I forget
know.
what they're called.
I remember we were talking about it. No, it's not the what's it, the there's the garbage, what was it, the
No,
rubbish ones.
it's not those guys. So while you're looking, I'll do another interesting
Yeah,
case or
I'm
two.
looking.
Let me see what I got.
Cyberscouts. No?
Yes, Cyberscouts. That's it.
Is
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
Is
yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, it's not Cyberscouts.
Is it not?
They didn't.
Damn,
There's
I feel
nothing.
like an arse
There's
now.
nothing specific about 112, but they are.
No, but they do that. They try and find people online
Yeah.
who post insults.
Basically, part of it is they promote ultra royalist opinions, and
Yeah.
yeah. Remember social again. This is something we should probably go on about later. But social sanctions was that was my favorite one because social sanction was SS, which is should
Wait, hold
stand
on.
for.
Explain what social sanction was
So
first.
that was another online ultra royalist group. So they'd go on like the internet and accuse. This is the one you're thinking of. This is the one that accused people of Les
Ah,
Majeste. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Social sanction. I don't think they're operational anymore, but again, their initials are SS. Like
Sus.
the
Very sus.
so sus.
Yeah.
No, but SS like the
Yeah.
Schutzstaffel and like
Yeah.
in
The
Nazi
Nazis.
Germany, and they were
Yeah.
considered, and this group like the social sanction was considered to be fascistic. So the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Uh,
No. No. Oh, you never know. It could be. It could be an accident. You know. So yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about how 112 has been a key point in the protests that are happening at the moment. So in June 2020, Cancel 112 was trending in Thai Twitter for the first time after the disappearance of Chalerm, who was an activist who was in exile in Cambodia for 112, and he was disappeared and almost definitely killed. So it's a large part of the demands in the current protest movement.
Yeah, no, definitely with the fact that in addition to the original sort of demands that the protests were calling for, they went out and they actually wrote a whole separate set of clauses for the reforms on the monarchy, which they were sort of like based on Somsak's Ajahn Somsak at his own critiques, and
Yeah.
then like some of the things. I think some of the things in Jai Umpagon's like Red Siam Manifesto, maybe not those specifically, but definitely the like Ajahn Somsak's 8 critiques or whatever they were that got him slapped with the his own Les Majeste thing, which forces
Yeah.
him to live in France, I think.
Yeah.
Imagine
I
being
think what
exiled to go live in
go
a
on.
nicer country. No.
Sucks. Yeah. Well, you know what? Quite a lot of people are doing it.
It's true.
It's not just
I mean,
Somsak.
I don't want to try it out, but I'm just saying it could be
Of
worse.
course not. We had a quote from Giles. What have we got here? He says, quote, "The Les Majeste laws are not really designed to protect the institution of the monarchy. In the past, the laws have been used to protect governments and to shield military coups from lawful criticism. This whole royal image is created to bolster a conservative elite well beyond the walls of the palace."
Yeah.
So basically what he's saying here is that like the military use the royal family as a justification for coups and authoritarianism, and Les Majeste laws are really just a way of protecting that privilege, that ability to use the monarchy as their justification.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, both of this, but both you and Giles hits the nail on the head when you talk about how the state is the monarchy, or the monarchy is part of the state apparatus, and therefore
Absolutely.
any criticism of the monarchy is criticism of the state, and
Or
therefore
vice versa.
Yeah, vice versa, exactly. Because not only is it theoretically speaking that they are the same entity, but in the eyes of the state themselves, they also associate with the monarchy, or they use that to justify itself. Because without that, basically divine rights of kings that is being given to the monarchy, to the state, to the government. Sorry, then there is no sort of real justification for the state apparatus over the people, aside from obviously class reconciliation of class antagonism, but that's sort of a separate issue. Yeah.
There's an Yeah, I was going to say there's another point that I don't think we actually mentioned, which we really should have mentioned earlier,
Oh yeah.
which is just to differentiate this from libel law, because libel law is also very strong in Thailand.
Yeah.
And the difference is that with libel law, you have to prove that what you've said is true. With Les Majeste, no. I have a quote from a judge who says the accuser does not necessarily have to prove the information is factual because if it is true, it is more defamatory. And if it isn't true, then it's super defamatory. So there's your justification there. Highest Thai legal minds.
Madness.
Yeah. So I think that just about is everything I've got. Oh yeah, I just wanted to point out that despite many attempts, the Thai government has never successfully extradited someone living abroad for Les Majeste. So all of you Farang, you say whatever the fuck you want. You're free.
Get on Reddit.
Don't expect to come
Get
to
on
Thailand.
Reddit. Do what you want.
Yeah.
Except for on the r/Thailand, they don't like that stuff there.
Oh no, I don't think so.
I got a couple just more recent things. Just here. So on the 23rd of November this year, right? In November, there were 23 protesters that were slapped with Les Majeste.
Oh right, yeah.
So these protesters, they were rallying about, obviously, as we mentioned before, some of the reforms that they wanted on the monarchy, which relates to sort of their centralization of wealth and power and taxes. And then on 25th of November, some protesters were gathered in front of the Siam Commercial Bank, and they accused Vajiralongkorn of wasting said taxpayer money when he was in, Germany, whilst at the same time Thailand was facing an economic crisis. This guy, who they thought of, as he's supposed to be the leader in a greater respect of Thailand. He's actually spending most of his time elsewhere and not overseeing his
which
subjects.
he is perfectly entitled to do.
Listen, he's the king. He can do what he wants.
He can do whatever he wants.
He can go wherever. Yeah. Listen, if he wanted he could walk down Sukhumvit, shoot a man, and be fine. Like that's the one that Trump does. That's the one that Trump does. Remember, he's like, I could go down.
I know, but I could he?
I mean,
legally? I actually don't know.
He could probably.
I know he could in practice, but like under the Thai legal system, could he? Like legally.
Well, could you prosecute a member of the royal family and not be slapped with a 112 charge?
I honestly have no idea.
Because that would be okay. So think about it, right? Defamation is an attack on character.
And accusing someone of being a murderer is
an attack on their character.
You would imagine.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as you said before, if it's like proven correct,
it don't matter.
Then it's worse. It's still bad. So at the end of the day, they can do what they want.
I suppose so. I mean, I just wanted to also kind of paint a little bit of a picture of what it's actually like living in Thailand with this law in place. Like, especially nowadays, things have changed a lot, but about, 5 years ago, while Ram and I were still alive, people would, you would really have to trust somebody before you may say anything which is perhaps defamatory. Like, you really, people did take it very, very seriously. And nowadays, not so much under Rama 10. Like, some of the stuff that I've seen at protests, some of the speeches are just, like, gobsmacking to me that people would say that. I never thought I would see such a thing. It is quite staggering what's going on right now as compared to how it was
I've
before.
experienced, like, people I know who have been quite vocal about their support and respect for, like, Rama 9 haven't had that level of respect for the current guy. And so it sort of demonstrates that it's less about the institution and more about the guy. But, I'm not saying that's something we should think about. And I'm just saying that for some of these people, there's already a disconnect in their heads concerning their relationship with the institution. It just means that it's a lot easier for us to make our case about the institution being the way it is, as opposed to being the way that they want it to be presented as. I'm speaking in vagaries for a reason here.
As you must.
As I must. But, it's just interesting that our work of undermining the relationship has been done for us to some extent already.
That is not my work. Samaideng
Sorry.
himself.
The work of certain groups, certain CPC backed George Soros funded groups,
NED groups, yes,
is to is to undermine this relationship between Thai society and some of its institutions. However, as I've sort of been trying to emulate,
they're shooting themselves in the foot. The monarchy is shooting themselves in the foot.
Yes, basically that's what
there
they do.
was. I had another one actually, just to kind of wrap it up.
Yeah.
Where was it? Yeah, so this was just today, I think. What's the date today? I don't know.
It's the 15th.
This was on December 15th.
Well, it's 16th.
Yeah. So
it's
just
the
today.
16th.
Okay, so this was yesterday. So a woman has been charged with royal defamation for wearing a traditional Thai dress to a protest. It was considered to be a satirization of the Queen.
Right.
She was dressed in a pink dress. Did you see this?
I did not. Where have you found
silk
this?
dress. It's on Khalsod again. It's on. If you just go on their homepage, you'll see it. And then there was another guy that got arrested for wearing a tank top.
Oh yeah, no, I've seen the tank. I've seen the tank tops, but I didn't see that the guy got arrested.
Yeah, someone got arrested for.
Poor.
Or he got charged at least. I don't think he got arrested yet. He got charged. So we'll see how that turns out.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Like when I saw those the fashion, like the red carpet type things that they were doing. The fashion shows, the people's fashion shows. Which I have some mixed opinions about, but that's for another time. I think that it's fun. It's very in the Thai sort of way of doing things.
It's tongue in cheek.
It really is. Say what you want about Thai people, they do have an interesting sense of humor, but it's like.
You are Thai. You're allowed to say we have an interesting sense of humor.
This is true. We do have an interesting sense of humor.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's true. It's true. We do. Anyway. But like, I saw all these people get dressed up in their different, outfits, and I sort of went, how long until someone in the government says something about the things that they're wearing? Because half of that shouldn't be allowed under 15 different rules. Or something like. I'm exaggerating, but my point is.
Yeah. No, it's true that the backlog of bizarre laws. Thailand is
and the
amazing.
Thing, I was planning on writing a whole article about it, but I'm never going to get around to it.
Uh-huh.
But the whole point of going in and digging out all these old archaic laws is because they're scrambling for power. They're sort of they understand that their legitimacy is being questioned and checked. And their only sort of legitimizing fact is that they have a centralization on wealth and violence and power. So there's no sort of material way that they're being questioned right now. But in sort of the eyes of the ideological warfare, sort of the ideological battleground, they are losing, which is obviously because of incoherency in their doctrines, but that's too theoretical. And
you say that, but I don't know. Maybe when all these young people, like so many Thai radicals in the past, when they all turn 45 or 50, they just become reactionary Salims overnight. I have no idea why that happens, but to any listeners who may not know, so many former communists.
Yeah, was that guy? Was the Tongchai fella, the guy that wrote Siam Map?
Yeah. Oh, he wasn't an insurgent. But,
no. I mean, not insurgent. I just mean he was
student revolutionary.
Yeah. The way he spoke to us. The way he spoke to us.
Can we? Let's not air it publicly.
Sorry.
We did have a little bit of a not a beef, but whatever. Okay, I'm muting that.
Yeah.
So. Just okay. Can we wrap it up? How are we going to wrap it up?
However you wish to wrap it up.
Okay. You know what? I asked you at the beginning. 112. Good or bad? Where you at?
Okay. So given that talking about 112 means I'm critiquing a law, right?
Mm-hmm.
I should be sort of absolved from being charged with breaking that law. However, because of that which the law represents and protects, breaking that law is going to attacking that law would therefore attack a greater framework or a greater institution that law represents, right? Which is
Yeah, I'm
held
with
within
you.
the law. So if I said it was bad, I would be breaking the law, but also meeting the sort of the greater interpretation of the law. So I'm going to say I'm indifferent. Um,
Okay. All
in
right.
order,
Brave
to not
answer.
implicate myself. In order to not implicate myself.
I'm gonna go a step further and say personally I believe that Thailand is a special country, unlike every single other country in the world. I don't know why you're laughing. And as such, the monarchy is a unique institution, essential for the governing of the country, in which, frankly, democracy just doesn't work. People, as it's been proven over and over again.
It's true.
The country needs to be protected at all costs, and thus it is appropriate that this law be ruthlessly applied in Thailand so as to safeguard the kingdom. And that's my take.
Yeah, I'm with. Yeah, that's an interesting
Long
one.
live the king.
I'll take that one.
Rakmung Thai.
Yeah, death to the to the evil commies at Thai Inquirer.
And glory to Xi Jinping
Yeah,
and
yeah.
His Majesty Ramaten.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right,
Those
thanks
two,
for
those
listening,
two
everyone.
are our Marx and Engels.
Exactly. All right. All right, so hopefully we'll see you in a week or two. All right.
All right.
Say bye-bye, Samai.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Chok di.
แห่งความหลังทั้งรักทั้งชังทั้งหวานและขมขื่น16 ปีเหมือน16 วันรักเอ๋ยช่างสั้น